you shouldn't assume that someone who's asking for a recommendation for an author has the same passion and the same investment in that author as you do. Hello and welcome to Spincer's Library. I'm Claudia, and today I want to talk about the question of whether you should start with an author's best book. Minerva, if you could just stop knocking things off the desk until I'm done with this video. Come here. Today I want to discuss the question of whether you should start with an author's best book first. This discussion topic is based on a poll that I recently put on my community page. And in that poll, I asked which of Agatha Christie's novels I should start with. And I had collected people's suggestions, and then I put the 5 most popular suggestions in this poll, and I'm showing you the results now. As you can see, 235 people voted at time of recording, and of those 235 people, 58% suggested I start with And Then There Were None. Sorry, this is a cat channel now. What are books? Look at this fluffy cat. Where was I? Yes, out of 235 voters, 58% voted for And Then There Were None, which equates to 136 votes. You're right, my darling. You okay? It's an hour and a half till feeding time. You should probably go and have a nap. Which was by far the most popular vote. It was by far the most popular suggestion as well. So, pretty easy, you'd think, right? I'm gonna start with And Then There Were None, because that is what more than half of the people voted for. But then, when you scroll through to the comment section of that poll, you are officially evicted from the office. As I was saying, if you scroll through to the comment section of that poll, you'll find a few differing opinions. One person wrote, beginning a Christie read with And Then There Were None, despite its popularity, is a mistake. However, this person failed to tell me why I shouldn't begin with And Then There Were None. Why is this one person going against the 136 people that said I should start with that one? No explanation. It's a mystery. But then someone else commented as well and said, And Then There Were None is by far the best. But it shouldn't be your first Christie. It's nicer to build up to it because nothing else is as good. And this is where we disagree. And this is why I'm making this video. If you look at my YouTube channel and you look at the playlist section of my YouTube channel, you'll find a playlist called Where to Start With. And at the moment it consists of 4 videos that I have made recommending first reads. So these 4 are where I've read an entire sort of canon of an author's work, or sometimes just where I've read a specific author's novels. So I've done videos called Where to Start with Oscar Wilde, Where to Start with Jane Austen, Where to Start with E.M. Forster, and Where to Start with the Sherlock Holmes books by Arthur Conan Doyle. And making these videos takes me a lot of time. They're all scripted and, if I may say so myself, very well planned and thought out. And every time I recommend people start with what I consider the best of the works, and also often what is commonly considered the best of their works. Let's think about Jane Austen, for example. If you have never read a Jane Austen book, you will still be aware of the existence and maybe even aspects of the plot of Pride and Prejudice. You might not know what Northanger Abbey is about. You might not know what Emma's about. You might not know what Persuasion is about, but you will know Pride and Prejudice. Is it just a chance that that is the most well-beloved novel, that is the most popular one? Is it also the best? Are those things interchangeable? Now, I don't think they always are. I don't think the most popular and the best, or at least the best as I perceive it, are always the same. But more often than not, they are. And I find that is the case, for example, with Jane Austen. I truly think that Pride and Prejudice is the most popular one for a very good reason, because it is the best of her novels, in my opinion, but also because it is the most accessible. People love it because it's easy, because it resonates with readers, and therefore it is the most popular one. And therefore, I recommend that people who haven't read Jane Austen before start with Pride and Prejudice. If you are familiar with Jane Austen and you have read her novels and you have reread them and you really connect with them and you think about them and they take up space in your brain, they, as we say in 2021, live rent-free in your head. Is that how you use the phrase? If you have taken some time with Jane Austen's novel, then you might feel an affinity to the other ones. You might identify more with Persuasion. You might find more intrigue in Northanger Abbey. You might get lost in the depths of Emma or Mansfield Park. You might find that you appreciate another novel more. But when we recommend books to someone who's not familiar with a certain author's books, I personally believe in the approach of recommending the most popular one, the best, the top of the tops, the one that's going to get them hooked on a certain author. I don't want to build up to Agatha Christie's best novel. I'm going to read this one book of hers and then decide if I'm going to give her the time of day, because there are thousands of other books that I could pick up instead. You shouldn't assume that someone who's asking for a recommendation for an author has the same passion and the same investment in that author as you do. If Agatha Christie's best novel is And Then There Were None, and then I read another one of hers and I don't like it, then at least I have read And Then There Were None first. Because if I read the other novel and I don't like it, I'm not going to continue searching for the one novel that I will love. Of course, there are nuances to this. Let's talk about another one of my favorite authors, Oscar Wilde. He wrote one novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and dozens of other works. Plays, poems, essays, short stories, fairy tales. I don't think The Picture of Dorian Gray is his best work. I think he was a much more adept playwright than he was novelist. And yet, The Picture of Dorian Gray is the novel that I recommend to people who are looking for Oscar Wilde recommendations. But with a caveat. If you watch my Where to Start with Oscar Wilde video, I mean, you don't actually have to watch it because I'm going to summarize it here. You'll notice that I recommend The Picture of Dorian Gray if you insist on reading a novel, but otherwise I recommend starting with what I consider his best play, which is also his most popular play, which is The Importance of Being Earnest. Because I think that is the work of his that's going to get you hooked, that's going to make you want to read more of his works and branch out into other types of literature of his. However, people who are looking specifically for a novel aren't going to want to read a play. And with Oscar Wilde, you don't really get much choice. You either read the novel or you don't read the novel. So in that case, it's better to read the novel than not to read the novel. So there is always nuance. And I'm hoping that this nuance is going to carry through to the discussion that hopefully is going to happen in the comment section of this video. As always with my discussion videos, I am quite keen on reading, replying to comments, and hearing other people's points of view. In my case, I will always want to start with the most popular, the most well-known, and the favorites of an author's works. And that is the approach that I hope to take when I deliberately choose a book from a new-to-me author. Did I mention there's nuance? because a lot of the time that's not how I choose my reading. A lot of the time I pick up books that I see in a charity shop or that I see in the bookshop, and that's the book I'll start with because it's there. And that has led to some what I consider suboptimal introductions to authors. But for the most case, I will try and pick up the number one, the favorite, the most popular, the most well-known, and the most well-liked novel. And a lot of the time, those are the same book. And then I'll decide if I'm going to continue pursuing that author's work or not. Incidentally, occasionally I get the question of when I'm going to do another Where to Start With video. And because those videos take so much time, obviously, to research and to write, I am not committing to doing any more. However, I have been falling in love with John Wyndham's writing for a few books now. So I expect if there is going to be another Where to Start With video, it's going to be about his work. I'm only 3 books into it. There's still loads more for me to read before that happens. But I can see myself doing a video like that on his work. And we'll see then if I once again recommend the most popular, the favorite, the most well-known of his books. So what do you think? Have you had experiences of starting with an author's most popular novel and then not getting on with it, but actually preferring one of the more obscure works that they've written? How do you go about when someone approaches you and says, "Hey, I know you like this author. Which of their books should I start with?" Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye!